All right, this week we're talking about leaders and multi-leaders. We did cover it some in previous classes, but there's like three different leader commands. The first is the multi-leader, which is on the menu bar here, and the text command would be mleader. You're probably most familiar with that. The other two come from the dimension styles, and with the multi-leader, you set your own styles here, which we'll cover that in a moment. But the others, one is called leader, and then there's quick leader or Q leader, and they take their settings from your dimension style. So let's look at our dimension style here. And so it takes the arrowhead size, the layer, line type kind of information, and your units if you're doing, well, not really units because it's all text based, but it takes the first three tabs. It takes all that information from here if you're using the leader or the quick leader command. And so I've got my dimensioning here set to the dimension layer. So I'm going to change this to a different, I'm going to change it to the text layer just to show you what is happening here. And so I'll start with the leader command. So I'm just going to type LEAD, get the leader. And this is all command line based stuff or dynamic input, either one of the two. So you do the start point, and then you specify the next point, and then the next point, which most times it's going to be a horizontal shoulder about 1/4 of an inch long. And then you could keep going with more points. Okay, so your leader line could be as long and as strange as you want it to be. If you look in your command line options now, you got a format or an annotation. Okay, and so if I right click and I just enter, now I can type in my text. And next line, and the next line, and I'm going to hit escape, and then the whole thing canceled. So let's do that again. What happened? And I'm just going to pull out a line. So now it gave me, I could look at options. So let's look at options. So I'm just going to hit enter. And here's some options, and these will show up in the multi-leader styles. Is I could apply tolerance, I could copy another one, I could do a block, or I could have none, and it's just the arrow and line. I'll keep it as mtext, and now I can put in my text, and I'm going to close the text editor. And then that's with the leader command. Okay, so if I do Q leader, and let's do something similar. So it gives me 2 points, and then it asks me for my text width, and so I drag out how long I want my text box to be, and now I put in my text. And I right click my mouse to end the command. Now when I look at these two, and you notice they both came in on the text layer, okay? Even though the dimension style, dimensioning here was set to dimension, they both came on the text layer. So let's look at them in properties. So the line and the arrowhead is called a leader. And see, it pulls from the decimal dimension style, line with arrow, okay? And then the size is there. But if I select the text and look at it, it's listed as an M text or a multi-line text. And you notice that they are tied together, but they're two different entities. Now, if we do the multi-leader command, and see, it didn't give me an option for a second line out for my shoulder. Okay. But when I look at it in properties, it's considered a multi-leader. And then it takes all of its information from the multi-leader style. Okay, so let's look at that. And the format, I got three different types here for the arrow or the line. I can do the straight, which is like that. I can do the spline, which has a curve, okay? Or I could do none, which is just a line of text. Not sure why you would want well, I take that back. There are some examples of where you might could do that. We'll look at those in a moment. Just like with dimensioning, I like to make all my settings by layer so that I can control colors and those kinds of things based on the layer. The structure, here's where you could set your points, and in this case, 2 clicks gives me the arrow and the shoulder. You could set a default angle, okay, or you could have multiple points. Include the landing or the shoulder and the size of it. You can make it annotative or not, okay. And in the content side, most of the time you're going to use this M text. Now, in your in-class for this week, you're going to be doing this with a block, and you're going to be doing like part numbers for an assembly drawing. And so the options for the different blocks are right here. You've got a detail call out, which is what's visible, a slot, a circle, different sizes, okay? And then you could actually do a user block where you've created something, okay? So we'll leave it at that. The attachment, the center extents, it's going to be that part right there, okay? And in color, let's make it by layer. Okay, now we'll leave all of those things set, and then we'll say okay. And then it asks you for the tag number, and this is what goes into the block. And it can be for part numbers, okay, door schedule type numbers, window numbers, things like that. And so I'm just going to say 23. Okay, and so you can see it puts our block shape right there with the text number inside it. Okay, one of the other, let me go back to here, instead of the hexagon, we'll do the detail call out. And this is where, when you, especially like in architectural drawing, where you would have a view number, like view number 1, and what sheet it's referencing, okay? And so you can fill those in here, and I'm going to say A2, okay? And so what this would mean is, and we wouldn't use this like pointing to an object like I've got here. It would be more for a section cut or something like that. And that tells you to look at detail 2 on sheet A2. Okay, and so that's just another style, okay, of leader. I want to edit. So let me go back and change this back to M text so that we're back to our regular kind of stuff. Okay. When I go to place it, let's look at the options now in the command line. I can select any of those options down there, and I can pre-enter my text and then place the leader, the arrowhead. I could specify the landing first and then draw the arrowhead down to the part. I mean, there's different options. You just got to play with them first. I find the default of entering the arrowhead first and then the text seems to work the best for me because that's what I'm used to. You can look at them and see. If I look at the options, it's all of those things in the multi-leader style where I could change them for this one particular one without having to create a new style. So I could set the angle, the default angle for the line. I could change it to a block style, the type. Okay, so you can see it. It does a spline curve. Okay, so if what in that's just an overview of how you got it. So I'm giving you this file right here, and you're going to have there's two styles already set up. One is stairs, which this comes from an architectural project where we use a leader with a specific style to do like the up and down arrow on the stairs. We're going to be using the standard, which has been edited to make it annotative because this was an architectural drawing. And if we look at here at the settings, they're all, all pretty much the same. It's just here it was made annotative. The text style, all these things are just kind of set up already for you. You're not having to make any changes on any of these. Okay. And so I'm giving you an image also of what I want this to finish out with. And so I'll come in here and put in some text. Okay. Start another one. Okay. I'm not gonna do all of them as shown in the image. You can do those. Now some of the other deals up here, and it's unusual to add leaders to a piece of text. Usually it could be done when we're doing part numbers. Usually it's used when we're doing welding symbols. Okay, because you may have two weld symbols, in two different locations. But it basically adds a leader to what you've already got. So you select your existing multi-leader and then you place your arrowhead. Okay, if you need to remove a leader, then I don't know why it's not. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have clicked both of them, huh? There. Okay. Probably more useful is the alignment right here, in which you can place them and then you can select them all and align them up. Let's say we want to align them all with this one. And then we can specify the angle that we want to use. Okay, and so I'm going to turn on ortho mode. And then it lines them all up straight based on where I had picked on it at. Now this one, collect, what it does, let me just hover over it so you can see the pop-up on it. If you're using a block as your leader, it can gather, three. The example here is we got three different multi-leaders, and it can grab them all and drag them into one leader so that the blocks are all displayed in a single line. Um, you're not going to see the use of that in any of our classes here, but it is something, depending upon where you go to work, that could be something that you're going to do. Okay, so what are you going to do now? After watching this video, take the image that I've included in Blackboard and put in those multi-leaders that you can see and align them up so that it looks similar to the image that I've given you. And then you've got a couple of drawings this week. The in-class is more multi-leader type stuff where we create a parts list that that uses a block style multi-leader. And as always, if you've got questions, send me an email or come see us, okay?